Butter is $7?
Yeah.
What?
Some
Is
places.
it framed in gold?
Joe Scarborough going to see President Trump.
Such a grifter.
What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. Hope all's good wherever you are. Morning Joe and MSNBC are done. Kaputs. Ratings are going down. This show is tanking, and it's about time. Let's watch here a clip of Bill O'Reilly schooling Chris Cuomo about this exact topic, and I'm going to show you a few other videos, including Anna Kasparian and Megyn Kelly having a good laugh at the Morning Joe. Let's get it.
There is. It's a spin-off company.
There's no spin-off. See, you buy the propaganda, Cuomo.
Oh, okay.
See what I mean about
I'm just saying
people?
what's being reported.
All right.
But what do you know?
Yeah, I know, but why would you believe what's being reported? You want the real story? Here
Yes.
it comes. Comcast said, you two, we're going to have to try to mend some cliche fences, and you two are going to go in there, and you're going to try to tamp it down. Because Comcast knew the next day they were going to announce that MSNBC is vapor. That is a huge meteor story.
Why is it
Enormous.
vapor? Just because they're
There
spinning
is
it
no
off
more-
and putting them in they're spinning off a bunch
There's
of
no
brands.
spin-off.
There is. It's a spin-off company.
There's no spin-off. See, you buy the propaganda, Cuomo.
Oh, okay.
See what I mean about
I'm just saying
people?
what's being reported.
All right.
But what do you know?
Yeah, I know, but why would you believe what's being reported? You want the real story? Here
Yes,
it comes.
please.
So they're uncoupling their word, Comcast, MSNBC from NBC News. That means MSNBC has no resources at all. None. They're not going to be able to pay these people millions of dollars, Rachel Maddow, whatever she's making. NBC News is saying, we don't want you around. Why? Because NBC News' numbers, Lester Holt and the Today Show, are catastrophe because half the country equates NBC News with MSNBC and they won't watch. So NBC is desperately trying to save the mothership of information, and they have to throw MSNBC overboard. They're not putting anything into MSNBC. They want to sell it. So where's Georgie Soros now? Georgie's buying radio stations. You can get MSNBC for nothing. They'll give it to you. They don't want any more of this. Why? Because it's hateful. Not because it's so far left. The whole NBC Comcast hierarchy is far left. But it's hateful. They hate Trump. They hate people who vote for Trump. Everybody knows that. And you know what's next? The View. ABC News is going to have to cut ties with The View. And you saw that today or yesterday when Sonny Hostin had to read a legal statement in the middle of a segment. The lawyers get Whoopi Goldberg's ear and it said, we're bringing a statement in on a teleprompter. She reads it. So it is over for these far left networks. Done, never coming back. Dracula's stake in the heart. Who benefits? News Nation may, but CNN, which is on the ropes too, will probably get some MSNBC viewers.
Wow.
There you go.
What do you think of that?
Well, I'm certainly not going to accuse them of not making sense.
See here, I don't often play videos of the Young Turks. I don't agree with them politically on almost anything, but I think they're a good voice for the left. And again, they're people that are having these conversations. They're willing to have the debates. Whether we agree with them or not, they're having the debate, which is what is important here. Unlike most people on the left who just want to stop conversation and censor speech, Anna and Cenk, they're actually having the convos. Let's look at this clip because it's gold.
So anyway, this was on today's installment of Morning Joe. Obviously, Joe Scarborough looked absolutely stunned to find out that inflation has drastically increased the price of groceries, officially making him the last person in America to make that discovery. Now, let's watch the full clip so you can get a sense of how this interaction went down in context.
You look at those numbers where Donald Trump did better in New York and areas around New York, that probably contributed a good deal to it. I want to talk about economy for a second. A few weeks ago, 3 weeks ago, somebody who was going to be voting for Kamala Harris came up to me and said, "Oh my God, Trump's going to win." I go, "Why is that?" He goes, I went to the grocery store, butter's over $3. I kind of laughed and I said, Well, that's kind of reductive, isn't it? Said it to myself. To him, I smiled and I said, good point. But it actually, what everything we're hearing after the election is,
I'm just saying, the $7.
What's that?
The $7.
What's that? Butter is $7?
Yeah.
What?
Some
Is
places.
it framed in gold?
Yeah, what
Okay.
kind of butter?
Depends on where you go. But
Okay, well, yeah, okay.
$7.
You guys might have missed it, but I want to make sure you know or you caught it. In that last clip we just played, Joe Scarborough was like, everything we're hearing after the election about inflation. How are you just now finding out about inflation? How? How is that possible? Honestly, I don't think I believe him. I don't believe him. Inflation has been a big topic for a few years now. Joe Scarborough has chastised Democrats for focusing too much on Trump bad, stated that they should have focused on illegal immigration, and also criticized their focus on identity politics, things that, maybe he should have been open and honest about before the election took place, instead of gaslighting the American people on behalf of a failing campaign. But nonetheless, let's take a look at more of what Joe had to say.
Every Democrat that we have ever sat down with dinner with over the past 5 years who have kids that go to colleges say their kids are afraid to speak in class because they'll be canceled. It's having an impact from, again, the trans ad to, the athletics. And by the way, as we've said on the show 1,000 times, Democrats should be smarter on the women's athletics thing. 85% of Americans oppose men transitioning after puberty and competing against women. People need to look back at the campaign and they certainly should feel free to call out Donald Trump for all the things that he said that were shocking and deeply offensive. But if you're a Democrat right now and think that's going to get you elected 4 years from now, it didn't get you elected a couple of nights ago. There was some reluctance to go there, to talk about the things that were concerning Americans that really mattered this year. Illegal immigration, the mass border crossings. This isn't just about tax cuts. This isn't just about economics. This is about cultural markers that matter greatly in these people's lives.
I'm amazed. I did not expect Hitler to get so many meeting requests. First from Joe Biden, now from Mika and Joe. It's amazing that literal Hitler is getting all these meeting requests. And what it tells me, Professor, is that all the rhetoric that came from the left, from the Democrats, from the White House, from Kamala Harris and everyone else before the election, all of the rhetoric, the fascism, the Hitler, the Nazi rally at him, it was all a bunch of BS. They didn't mean any of it. And if I were in the Democrat sort of rabble's shoes, I would be looking at all my leaders and going, did you just BS me for an entire 6 weeks before the election?
I just reread.
Now, the last clip I want to play for you here is a clip of Megyn Kelly's show where she, again, destroys old Joe here. But I want to show you a quick side-by-side of Joe before the election and after the election. And you can see the grift is real. The ratings are plummeting. This guy's just trying to stay on the air. Let's get it. Megyn.
The point applies even if this is not Germany 1933. The point applies if this is something not as savage as Germany 1933, but simply an autocrat who decides to be a dictator on day one, who decides to arrest all those who he doesn't like, to take news networks off the TV as he said he would do if they're not supportive of him, who's talked about assassinating generals that aren't sufficiently loyal to him, has complained to his chief of staff that his generals should be more like Hitler's generals. Of course, Hitler's generals tried to kill Adolf Hitler, but Donald Trump didn't know history, so he didn't know that. Whose own lawyer said in court he could use SEAL Team 6 to assassinate political rivals. And if he were president of the United States, he could not be arrested. As somebody close to Donald Trump told me this past weekend, this is a president who's not seeking re-election, so maybe, just maybe, now could be the time for both parties to get to work. And I know, given the jarring headlines that we read every day, that may seem like a stretch, but think about this. Of the 150 million votes cast, Donald Trump got 50%. Kamala Harris got about 49%. So I don't know. Seems to make sense for leaders of both parties to seek common ground, if it's possible at all. And I will tell you, a lot of Democratic leaders we've talked to this past week, since the election, have told Mika and me it's time for a new approach. And when I say top Democrats, I mean top Democrats. They said, we're open, and this was before we talked to Donald Trump. They said, listen, we're open to working with the incoming president if the incoming president is open to working with us.
Joe Scarborough going to see President Trump. I was crying laughing in bed last night watching you.
Such a grifter.
I'm wondering, though, Megyn, if we don't allow for some grace.
No, we don't.
No, we
Stop
don't.
it right now.
But how do you
no.
bridge the divide?
Yeah, we don't need to. He's a dishonest broker. He's a liar. He spent the past 4 years, beyond 8, telling us that Trump is a uniquely awful person, racist, sexist pig, fascist, Nazi, Hitler. That you don't negotiate with that. You don't make up with that. That's not somebody who was like, I didn't like Trump, but I'm willing to try. That's a dishonest, bad actor whose voice should be excised from the conversation, not propped up, not listened to, not made easier or more robust by access to the now sitting president or about to be. No, nothing good is gained by Trump and Joe Scarborough having a come to Jesus. The only point in Scarborough doing it is his ratings are in the toilet. They are circling the bowl right now. He's feeling desperate that his multi-million-dollar contract is going to evaporate along with that of his wife. And they'll do anything to try to save their own careers. I mean, I've been watching them, Jillian. I watch All in Media very closely along with my team. And he is the one who was out there saying, the best Joe Biden ever, the best ever. 2 months before he imploded on that debate stage, he lied over and over and over because it was important to him to have access. Biden watched Morning Joe. He wanted to be in this power broking position. And so he lied to cover for the guy. Then Kamala got on board. He started lying about her, telling us what an amazing candidate she was and how inspirational. I mean, it just couldn't be honest about any of her weaknesses. The lies about Trump, none of that should be rewarded with access to Trump. And by the way, it pleases no one. His audience doesn't want to see it because he's made them hate Trump with a passion. And the right doesn't want to see it because we've been watching Scarborough and already hate him with a passion. So the only reason to do it is to try to jack up numbers because he thinks there'll be some sort of hate watching or curiosity watching if he manages to get Trump on there or reports something about Trump that's new. And I don't think there's anyone in the mood to save his career right now.
And Kelly, the last month or so, I've been watching her show almost daily, listening to it anyway, the podcast. She might have one of the best ones out there right now. I still think Matt Walsh has the best show on our side of the aisle, the best political show. I love the dry humor, but hers is getting really close. She's really been crushing it. Hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, smash that thumbs up button for your boy. Consider subscribing to the channel, help it grow. Catch you on the next video. Peace out, everybody.